Welcome back, friends. Welcome to my channel. This is Kim with Bluebird Legacy. Thanks so much for showing back up. Hey, today yesterday I started this, I taped off this large piece of 140-pound watercolor paper, and I made a few marks into each section. I then took some gesso and went over those marks. And today we're going to kind of develop this. I'm doing like a series, and I found this is one of my easiest ways to do a series of paintings for a show. And so what I've got here is I've got a little mark maker. I've got a white Stabilo. You can see that. Oops, just dropped my journal. I wanted to show you some color palettes I'm making in there. And then I've got a black Stabilo. That's what I did the black lines with after I taped off. And I did the black lines and then went over it with white gesso. And then today I'm probably going to use this China marker because it's not water soluble. So I've got those. I've got a couple of colors that I might use in Neocolor 2s, which these are water soluble. So we'll probably put some matte medium over them, possibly. And then, of course, I've got a water jar. I have a palette knife to spread my paint. I have a chopstick because I like to make shapes with it. I have an old toothbrush to flick paint. And there's just a variety of my own brushes that I like. This is a new one, so I'm kind of interested to use it. It's a filbert, and it's always fun to play around with a new brush. So those are the things that you'd need if you wanted to gather up your stuff. And then I'll climb under this table here and get the journal so I can show you what I want to show you with the color palettes that I played around with yesterday. I was doing some testing and trying to refine some paintings, and so what I did is I was testing out some stuff. There's one I did on Instagram. I was testing out these colors. This side I liked. It's pinks and peaches, two different colors of pinks, and then I added white to it. I also had some lavender that I liked. I didn't really like adding the blues. So it's just kind of, I was thinking kind of spring colors, Easter, and I kind of wanted to do a painting with that sort of vibe in it. I then, once I start painting, then I just want to keep going. So this one, I was adding blues. I was trying to see how the lavender looked with teal, and then looked with phthalo green and some of the peachier pinks and stuff. And that's the only way you know what your eye likes, is if you put it down. And then the next thing I did was I went ahead and I said, well, I do like the peaches and the pinks. And then I wanted to really add something of an opposite and more of a complementary color. Well, as I was looking at my color wheel that I try to use and teach myself color theory, you know, green is the opposite of pink. So what I did is I looked at this kind of orangey, more of a peachy orange. So I went with orange, and then, you know, red orange is a blue-green. So that's what I kind of tried. And of course I'm adding white to all these colors. So I did here. And I just wanted to see how the colors look to my eye and what I'm trying to do on the piece of paper. So that's why I use a journal, and that way I can go back to it if I want. One of the things I always like to do, I don't have a marker, but I can show you with this China marker. I'll take something like this, or more like this, because it's not looking, I don't really like this. So I'll take a marker, a black marker, and then I'll go around. I do this a lot with watercolors. And I'll go around. Sometimes I'll add in a print or a mark, and it totally changes what that looks like. Or I'll just go around certain colors, maybe just the blues in it. And it just makes that piece just look different. And sometimes it gives me ideas for other paintings or other things. But more than anything, what this does is it's a very meditative process. They sell coloring books like this now, to where the color is there. Instead of it being opposite of a drawing, the color is there, and then you go around it. And I'm like, I've been doing that for years. That's not a new concept to me, but I guess, you know, if you don't paint, that would be fun to do. So I just slap down some paint, push some paint around, and then sit quietly with some music, or maybe you're even watching a movie. But the thing is you're off from electronics, and you don't have a screen necessarily in your face. I can sit outside in the sun and do this for an hour. And then you'll see other shapes come around as you make marks into your piece. You know, I'm just random. I'm not really thinking about what I'm doing. You know, there's some circles. And then maybe this one is going to have squiggle lines. I like to do it with a black marker better than a China marker, but you get the point. And then this whole thing changes. And I'll put a date on it, and then I'll come back to it years later and say, oh, that's how I was painting in 2024. 'Cause I'm a self-taught artist. I mean, I learn from people I see. There's where I painted the pages together in this little journal. But you can do this in any size too. So anyways, that's my color play. I have a smaller book like this that I use for watercolor, and then this one I use for mostly acrylics. Some watercolor, but mostly acrylics. So there's that. But I like this color scheme. So what I've done for today is I don't want to hit the tripod that the camera's on. I put some colors out on just a paper palette, and it's, if you want another color, just some Artist Loft paints, medium magenta, and then this one is called light pink. That's light pink. And I just spritzed them a little with water just to keep them mellow and without drying while we do this. What I like to do is, before I get started, is kind of mix up some shades of this color, because I don't really want to use the straight paint. I like when it's mixed with some white or mixed with each other. Makes a beautiful ombre effect. I'm a super messy painter, mixer, but that's what makes it fun, eh? Okay. So then let's go into the, now, you know, they call this light pink, but what do they call it? They called it, yeah, just what I said, light pink. I think it's peach. To me, in my eye, it looks very peachy. And it really turns into a beautiful color when you mix the white with it. Really pretty. but to my eye, it's like a peachy pink, where this is light, more like a orchid. Okay, so you know, everybody's got their own names for colors. At least I do anyways, when I see colors. So we'll leave those two mixed, like so. And then what I'm going to do is clean off the palette knife and come in here, because this one doesn't have to be, what do you say? Doesn't have to be gone over with gesso or that. See, this is all pretty stable now. It's not going to come off. But I kind of wanted some darker colors in here. And the first thing I had done is took a circle stencil and put some circles. I like circles. I like that shape. And what I want to do is darken some of my circles to where they stand out. And I'm not concerned about them being perfect orbs. I just want them to have more of a prominent place in this, because I did the dark. They're not standing out. They're done in graphite, actually with a Lyra pencil. So I think that's the smallest one right there. So all of the pieces will have sort of the same elements and the same colors, but they will each one be very different when I remove the tape. And that's why I like to work this way. They're unified. Oh, and I set my coffee cup down this morning. This right here. So I'll probably use some browns in this, and I will probably do some coffee rings in it just to make them all uniform or consistent. Okay, and all this will get painted over anyway, so, but just to put that there for now. I think I want this one darker. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is, this color, in my mind, is very similar to this color, what the glare is doing. So I'm going to kind of go into each one and mark and make some marks. And actually, I like to do this with my left hand, my non-dominant hand, because I find it's less, how do you say, I don't know, it just feels better to me. And that's how I do these paintings. The hardest thing for me is making the videos when I paint. I'm used to painting by myself and relaxing, and to talk and paint, it's not really Kim. So we'll work with it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take just some water on my brush and sort of, because that's a Neocolor 2, I'm going to get it wet, take it all through. I'm not going to hit every spot, but just to kind of wet it down, just to kind of let it flow. I'm really trying to challenge myself with this painting, you guys. I tend to use all the colors of the rainbow, and so in one painting. And I like color. I like to see bright colors. I like to see really saturated colors. What I meant to do here is I meant to go off this. So I want it to go off the side. But I like saturated colors, and so I'm trying to go a little lighter and just switch things up, just challenge myself so that I can learn and be better. Okay, so once we've kind of activated all of this, I'm going to take the palette and then start using the palette. That's the nice thing about the China marker. You can go over it, paint over it. It stays where you put it. Okay. Now, here's our colors. I liked these colors in the journal, so let's see if that's still how I feel about it today. Let's go in with some of this. And I'm just going to really just go into each section. There's 6 pieces here. And I'm going to go into each one differently and kind of go off the edge of each one. I'm really trying to challenge myself to paint with my opposite hand too, because I could really see my dad was left-handed, and I am able to see his creativity in that. You know, we're like our parents, whether we want to be or not. So I tend to like a dry brush too, like a really dry brush feeling. But I'm really getting a lot of this pink in that one. Some may have more pink in them, may have more of one color in them than the other. That's okay. I don't know what this blue is doing here. I think I was testing something yesterday, so I'm going over that. I decided just to keep the 2 colors and to not like what this is doing. Keep the 2 colors and not go with any other color until I let this dry. You know, you'll really, if you start doing something like that, you can get into mixing your colors, and you gotta be a little bit patient with acrylics. They dry fairly fast, but some patience is necessary. See, this one has a lot of energy in it. It's got a lot of angled lines. Let's take this out. Okay, then we'll put some pink here. You just work your way around to each one. Until you feel comfortable with what is going on in the painting. think these are going to connect. Oops, so sorry. You just got bounced around. Okay, let's put that there. Now, and just for the sake of the video, I'm going from color to color. Just kind of keep it really simple and just kind of deciding which brush. I want to do a different type brush with these marks, so let me see here. I tend to like a round brush, but we'll go with this one. Okay. Now let's look at all of them. What's going on? I think I'd like this one to have this corner. We'll use that in a minute. You see, and it's okay if your paint mixes, because then you're getting a different blend and it gives it a lot of interest. These two colors are very pretty when they're blended. I want to do something different here, different area. So we may go back over that too with a white or a black. And I think I want to be more expressive with this one. I don't mind textural marks either. The paint is thick. Sometimes I'll add a gel medium to thicken it up. Oh, something's sticking, piece of paper. See, we're at 22 minutes at this point. I try not to make my videos over 30 minutes long. Let's get this in here. I like the way these circles are kind of connecting things. And it really looks different now with the tape and the green and all this going on. But when you take the tape off and you get your white lines and you cut these and then you put them in a frame, they're really very simple but special. They're made by your hand. They make nice gifts, and I sell them at art festivals. I think it's nicer to buy original art than to just go to TJ Maxx and buy something that was printed over in China or whatever. I mean, this kind of painting can be done and at a very, very reasonable price. So now I'm going to go back in with the same sort of color, but give it a little more depth. Okay, so we have 2 more to do. I'll go back on these and add a little of this. I like what that's doing there. Oh, it's too dark. Nice and thick. See, these lines are getting covered over, but that's okay. Lots of it will be covered over before it is complete. I'll have several more layers on top of this. So let's go back in. And I think this should be a circle. I like the transparency of that. I don't know if you just heard somebody yell, but that's somebody outside. Not sure. Maybe the daylight savings time is getting to people. I certainly heard it. Okay, so we got that one. And then I don't really like those lines there. It's a bigger shape. Well, it's coming along. It's still got a ways to go, but it's getting there. And that's the thing. You can't rush these kind of things. They take time because you need to let them dry, and you need to kind of, I personally, I can just speak for me. I have to think about it and look at it to know if I like it. And it's generally the next morning is when I am able to make a considerable decision. If I like where something's going, or I need to cover up some things in that. I like this dark with this over here. I'm not into this, all this glumpy gray here. I like where the circles are going. The shading is good here. So you'll have some things you like about it, and then you'll have other things that you're like, no, this isn't working. Let's change it. And that's the beauty of working with acrylic paint. You just paint over it, and it just makes it a nice, thicker history. So, I guess we'll be signing off. I'm feeling like I'm mixing this up. You see, because I'm covering some of my darker lines, and some of them, I need to go back over them with that. But what I think I'll do here is this is going to be a circle that's going off. Thanks so much for watching today. I hope you'll come back and we'll see this finish up. I've got lots of more videos coming. Went to the lake, and so I'll be sharing those with you. Have a great day. Bye-bye.